What's up YouTube, Saf here on Super Saf TV, and in this video I'm going to be comparing the specs of the Google Nexus 10 to the iPad 4 or 4th generation, whatever you want to call it. Now the Nexus 10 just been announced today along with the Nexus 4 on the new Nexus 7 versions. Obviously the Nexus 7 proved to be very popular. I own one myself and you can see a full review of it here. And that was obviously the 7-inch form factor, but now Google are aiming for the more popular form factor of the 10-inch display and competing more directly with the iPad, which is currently the most popular tablet out there. So I'm sure everyone's wondering what the differences are between the iPad 4 and the Google Nexus 10. So what I'll be doing in this video is I'll be running through the specs and giving you guys a better idea of the differences between these two devices. So let's begin with the form factor and screen size. Screen size, iPad 4 comes in at 9.7 inches. The Nexus 10 is around about 10.5 inches. So you've got a bigger display on the Nexus 10. What that means in terms of resolution, iPad, you've got 2048 by 1536 pixels resolution. The Nexus 10 has a high resolution, and that's 2560 times 1600 pixels. Now, in terms of pixels per inch, PPI, that means the iPad 4 is 264 pixels per inch. The Nexus 10, 300 pixels per inch. Now, obviously, iPad Retina display, that's their sort of key unique selling point, and the Nexus 10 actually has a considerably better display, a larger display, as well as a more crisp, and you've got more pixels per inch, so it's going to be a more crisper display on the Nexus 10. So that's really interesting. In terms of dimensions, the iPad is slightly less in length, but slightly more in width. However, the Nexus 10 is thinner. Again, that's another key thing about the iPad tablets. So the Apple products are quite thin, but the Nexus 10 is only 8.9 millimeters thick, very thin. The iPad 9.4, so 5 millimeters thinner. The Nexus 10 comes in. Weight, another advantage on the Nexus 10 is it's 603 grams compared to the 652 grams of the iPad 4. So the Nexus 10 is also lighter in terms of weight than the iPad 4. Interesting. Processor, dual-core A6X with quad-core graphics. The iPad 4 comes in at. The Nexus 10, a dual-core A15 chip. Now, obviously, processor speeds will differ, and a processor speed test will be quite useful when these devices are actually in hand, doing a hand-on-hand comparison. But on paper, they're sort of similar on here. Internal memory, you've got the iPad, you've got the 16, 32 and 64 gigabyte versions. Nexus 10, you've got 16 and 32 gigabyte versions. So you've only got those two versions right now. I'm not sure if they're going to be doing any more later. In terms of wireless and mobile data, the iPad, you've got the Wi-Fi version and you've also got the cellular 3G and 4G versions. The Nexus 10 currently only Wi-Fi, but the Nexus 7, do bear that in mind that the Nexus 7 released today does have a cellular option, so the newer version. So the Nexus 10, I'm sure pretty soon we'll be having a different version, but currently only Wi-Fi, so do bear that in mind. In terms of RAM, the Nexus 10 has 2 gigabytes of RAM. The iPad, I'm not 100% sure, they've not made this clear, but I believe it's 1 gigabytes of RAM. But I'm not 100% on that because I couldn't find the specific RAM anywhere of the device. The iPad 3 had 1 gigabytes of RAM, so I'm assuming it's going to be quite similar. So it's probably 1 gigabytes, but I can't be 100% sure there. In terms of the rear-facing cameras, both have rear-facing cameras, 5 megapixels, 1080p HD, both capable of recording. Very good there. Front-facing camera, the iPad has a 1.2 megapixel camera, 720p HD can film out. The Nexus 10 has a slightly better camera, 1.9 megapixels in terms of megapixels, and 720p HD it can also record. Connector, the iPad, obviously now they've gone with the Lightning connector, which is the smaller and faster connector, but it won't work with your other devices without a converter. The Nexus 10 micro USB, obviously very universal, and also micro HDMI. And I think this is really useful because you can connect the Nexus 10 directly to a screen via a micro HDMI standard cable, which you can pick up very cheap. Obviously with the iPad you're going to have to buy the lightning to HDMI adapter, which again is going to cost you a little bit more than the universal version that the Nexus 10 offers. In terms of NFC connectivity, iPad obviously doesn't have NFC connectivity. Nexus 10 does come with NFC connectivity. Now it's arguable, obviously, would you actually need NFC on a tablet? I don't know, but I'd rather have it than not. So the Nexus 10 does have NFC. GPS, okay, now this is one of the points I didn't cover in one of my previous videos and everyone was like, you didn't cover it. So GPS, the iPad Wi-Fi version does not have GPS. The cellular versions do, the Wi-Fi versions don't. Nexus 10 does come with GPS. Both versions come with GPS, so that's one advantage there as well. Operating system, obviously iOS 6 versus Jelly Bean 4.2 Android. So again, Android versus Apple. I am not going to go into the debate in this video. Your preference is your preference. I'm not going to say which is which you should go with. That's totally up to you. What's your preference in terms of operating system? Obviously some people prefer Apple, some people prefer Android, so I'm not going to go into that. Battery, the iPad has quite a large battery, 560 mAh battery. The Nexus 10 9000 mAh battery, so the iPad does have a larger battery. Both sort of claim around about 10 hours usage though, so in terms of usage, again, that's to be seen when the device is actually in hand. Price, now okay, this is going to be interesting. 16GB version of the iPad, £399 or $499. The 32GB version, £479 or $599. The Nexus 10, now obviously Google have been really lowering the prices. 16GB version, £319 or $399. And the 32GB version, £389 or $499. So roughly speaking, $100 you're going to save by getting the Nexus 10. So again, pricing, obviously Google do come in at more of a budget price than Apple, as with lots of other devices. That's what they've been doing. So price obviously is a key factor for most people, and the Nexus 10 is coming in quite a bit cheaper. To summarize, those were some of those were the key features of both the devices. Undoubtedly, both are going to be very popular devices. And what are your views on the Nexus 10 and the iPad 4? Drop me a comment below. Do let me know what you think. And if I do get a hold of one, in the usual style, I will do a comparison hands-on. Hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up button. It really does help me out. And do subscribe to the channel as well. I've got videos coming very regularly on here, so do subscribe. This is Saf on Super Saf TV, and I'll see you next time.